I'm so glad you came back to listen to this episode of the Seeking Simplicity podcast. If you haven't listened to last week's yet, when we talked about resisting reality, I'd love for you to go listen to that first, because today we're going to be diving into these three concepts that literally, if you live your life by them, you will change your life. And you'll change your life not from an external perspective, but mainly because you will completely rewrite your inner narrative and you will only be able to see the world in a completely different way. If you are ready for this magic, go make yourself a magic brew, get yourself in a comfortable space, snuggle down, because you are going to love this one. Right. So I've got to try and do my best to keep this as a micro podcast, but literally I could talk about this topic all day, every day, because it has been absolutely life-changing for me in recent months. And I know, that if you take these three things on board, your life can transform. I'm not kidding you. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory. Back in July, I attended a 7 day and embodied NLP training. It was streaming from Australia. So I took myself away to a beautiful Airbnb and I got up at about 11:15 every night, showered, got myself ready, and the training started at midnight and it went through till 2 o'clock the following afternoon. And then I'd take a couple of hours, have a bite to eat, go back to bed at sort of 5 o'clock. And so we began. When I first arrived, I should also say that I actually did my first NLP training back in 2016. I have no idea why this woman, this teacher, this trainer came across my Instagram feed, but she did. And my life has gone boom ever since. It's been a blast. Now, so I did this in embodied NLP and I went through my journal recently and I also recognized that at the beginning, I didn't want to be there. I was in this amazing Airbnb. I was just getting over COVID. I was like, I want to go home. Literally, my diary is like, what the F am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself? I don't want to be here. And what I did through that training is every day after my training, I went live in my personal transformation group of, there's 8 women in there at the moment. They were my beta testers. And I shared with them in all the good, the bad, and the ugly. I shared with them my journey. At the end of that journey, each one of those people in that beta group signed up to work with me on a 6-month journey and invested again in me because of what they saw happen in that training. Now, if you want to go watch those videos, they are available still in my other Facebook group, Seeking Simplicity. I'll put a link in the show notes. They are in the featured section and you must watch them in order. Otherwise, it will make absolutely zero sense to you. So they're all labeled like 1 through 6. So you can go grab those now. Anywho, basically, there were a few things that happened in that training that took it from wanting to go home to me signing up to go and do my master prac training in Queensland, Australia in November of this year. And I cannot wait. I'm so excited and a little nervous because I don't like flying. And I'm going to rewrite that story. So delete, delete, delete. I'm very much looking forward to my flight to Australia. And the reason I'm sharing it with you now is because there were a few guiding principles, or there are a few guiding principles that have allowed me to come away from that training and continue what I learned. Because here's what I also know to be true. I have attended a lot of very whoop whoop seminars. So if you're British, English, and I say whoop whoop, and that everyone's doing raise your hands up in the air and all that, it can feel very American. And as a rule, the English are very much not like that. And I've been to many over in the States. And what I also see is that once people leave the environment and they come home to their own environment and they're not anchored into that energy every single day, it's very easy to slip back into who you've always been. And if you always are who you've always been and you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. You may have heard that before. So the thing is how do you take that great energy and those learnings and that passion and that suddenly seeing the world through different eyes in that period of time and come back and implement and stay there. And that's what I'm going to give you today. I also want to just let you know that the one thing, really, the one statement that I gave myself when I realized how much resistance there was and how much I didn't want to be in that room, I think I said this in my first video, was I just said to myself, look, I'm here and I'm going to get what I came for. I'm going to trust that I'm here in exactly the right time for exactly the right reasons, and that I'm going to trust that it's all working for me and I'm getting exactly what I need. And that changed everything for me. I literally, the next day's training, there was still a little bit of resistance, but I started to open up and to be like, why is this for me? And let me tell you, I was triggered a huge amount through that training. And I share all of those in those videos, and it's really, really valuable to watch. I'm actually going back through them with my PTP group right now, and we're watching them together and listening to them for the second time and hearing them as different people. That's how transformational it is. So let's get to these three, what's the word I'm looking for? Like these three strategies. It's not really a strategy. I can't think of the word right now. This is perimenopausal brain. But I'm going to just give them things. I'm going to call them things. Three ways for you to live your life that will transform you from the inside out. Because here's the other thing that I want you to know. And I learned this from doing somatics. When you do the work to change your model of the world, to release yourself from the limitation of conditioning that happened to you, not for you, but it did, because we get lessons, another podcast. But we become a version through of ourselves without our knowledge, right? So we get brought up, society has its imprint, our upbringing, our caregivers have their imprint, society has its imprint, and we learn who we are and we learn what we're capable of. And we learn to hold limitation in our body and our mind. And when I did somatics after losing my dad, because all the brain stuff wasn't working for me, what I realized was that over a period of time, my world externally wasn't actually changing, but I was seeing it in a completely different way because I was changing my internal map. I was changing my model of the world. I was healing, I was releasing, I was just shedding limitations left, right, and center. And my world went from being black and white to being so much more colorful with so much more opportunity. And suddenly I was like, oh my God, I can literally do anything. I can be anyone that I want to be. And let me tell you, this has been a freaking long journey. I've been doing personal development for over 10 years. So I started my business, my first business, and I say started loosely, but again, too big a story, back in about 2011, 2012. Oh my God, and did I fight? Did I fight the circumstances? So again, going back to last week's fighting reality. And I really started getting into personal development in 2014 after someone said to me, you do know, like, you're not your thoughts, right? And you can just change them. And I was like, what is this woman talking about? I can change my thoughts. I thought they were me. No, they're not you. And I laugh and joke often that I'm a slow learner. And I have been a slow learner in the past. And I also believe that we can't be anywhere other than when we're meant to. So I had to learn these lessons deeper and deeper and deeper. And you see them from a higher and higher and higher perspective. But this year has been a quantum leap growth year. And I believe that somatics put me on that platform ready for this. And it was like, okay, here you are, you're ready now. And so when I did this embodied NLP, I am a completely different person to how I was 10 years ago. I was much more open. And the biggest thing was I wasn't looking for something to fix me. When I did NLP first time round, I was like, oh, great, I'm going to go into this room for 5 days. I'm going to come out completely transformed and my life is going to be magic and my business is going to make £1 million and I won't have to do anything. At 50 years doing this NLP and the wisdom and the knowing that I have now, I was like, what is for me? What am I here for? And I let myself be open to that. And these three guiding principles, there's the word, there's the word principles. These three guiding principles have kept me anchored into that energy, that knowing, that wisdom, that intuition, that certainty ever since that intense 7-day training. The first one is cause and effect. Basically, you can choose to be at cause and take full responsibility for the results that you have in your life, or you can keep putting the responsibility outside of yourselves. And you can blame the world, you can blame your partner, you can blame your children, you can blame your parents, you can blame society, you can blame whoever you want or whatever you want. And all the time you are at effect, you are not in control. And maybe that suits you. Maybe it's easier to blame somebody than take that radical personal responsibility. Because let me tell you, that can suck. That can be really hard. I'll give you an example of this. I was talking to somebody recently and was talking about the relationship with my husband. So my husband and I have been married now for 17 years. Goodness me, we've known each other we actually met on my wedding day, my first wedding day, back in 2002, December 2002. Long story. And we officially got together in December 2006. Before we got together, it was quite a clandestine relationship, needless to say, and it was, well, I don't even know how to describe it. Probably a little bit destructive, very sort of, I don't know, like passion led, I guess would be the word. But also looking back now, I'm like, oh my God, there was these two sort of, I don't want to use the word broken, but these two souls that had come together they were in very difficult places in their life. They totally weren't in self-acceptance, and they were like seeking that from each other. If you've ever read the Celestine prophecies, you know what I mean. And someone said to me, oh my God, I can't believe he treated you like that. I'm like, for so long he treated you like this and he treated you like that. And I just turned around and I said, yeah, but I chose to stay. So I let him treat me like that. I accepted that behavior, you see. But it took me a long time to get to that place of taking full responsibility for that. There are some things that I've not wanted to take responsibility for, like when my dad was really sick, my diet consisted of a bottle of wine every day and a croissant. And there were times, let me tell you, I used to go to the shop and buy these little 3 miniatures in a box of single malt whiskey. And I would start drinking them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and then hide the bottles until it was safe for me to get rid of them when no one could see. And I'm declaring that now publicly, right? So taking radical responsibility puts you at cause. And now, on the odd day where I feel my energy start to drop or, falling back into old habits, I'm like, hang on a minute, am I being at cause here? Or I'm creating my reality. I'm taking full responsibility for the results that I'm creating in my life, for the emotions that I'm choosing to feel, for the dreams that I'm choosing to have, for the goals that I want to go for. Am I at cause here? And that brings me back into center. So it demands from me that I choose my standards. I choose the way I think. I choose the way that I feel. Is it easy? Hell no. But it gets easier the more you practice it. So cause and effect is the first one. And you can catch yourself in every moment, all day, like, where am I at right now in terms of, am I being at cause? Am I creating what I want? The second one is perception is projection. The reason that this is very, very important to me, and I want it to be important to you, is because this is relationship changing. If you have relationships in your life that are strained, this is for you. Because perception is projection asks you to accept somebody else's model of the world. That's my perception, first of all. This is not generally how we get taught it, but that's a bigger goodness me, my words today. That's a bigger thing for me. Is like it makes me see somebody else's model of the world. But also it asks me to see, where am I in this situation? Where am I in this person? What am I projecting from me that's allowing me to see this? Because there is another saying that says, you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. So if you feel very angry and resentful, that's the lens through which you see the world. Things are going to pee you off way more quickly probably than they would me. If you've ever been very overweight and lost weight and you hear a conversation and someone talks about someone being fat, you're probably going to get more triggered than somebody that isn't. If you feel hard done by and you feel like you're in a victim mentality, you're going to carry that through your life and you're going to keep finding yourself in situations where that keeps being mirrored back at you. So perception is projection is almost like holding a mirror up to say, what can I see differently now? This is what I used unknowingly in that room in my Airbnb for my 7-day training. I'm like, why is this so triggering for me? One of the things that massively triggered me was this girl sort of getting this group healing, and they were playing this music and everyone in the room was like crowding around her and she was crying. And I remember thinking, oh my God, would you just get on with it? Like zero compassion. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like totally in my masculine here. My brain was going, get up and get on with it. Pull up the big girl pants. Get off the floor. It was, and that was one of the reasons why I signed up to their program called Enrapture, so I can get back in contact with my femininity, my sexuality, my sensuality, my divine wisdom, my inner goddess, because I'm like, I want more of her in my life. The masculine is great, it keeps me driven, but I also want to have the feminine. I want to access that. So perception is projection says to you, let me look at this situation through different eyes. Where is this a reflection of me? Where might I want more of this? You know, and you can, and it can become very sort of symbolic. So, you know, maybe like as an example, somebody asked a question about like this neighbour's dog kept coming in, and the dog kept like trying to attack her dog. And so she was asked, like, where are you attacking somebody else? And or where are you not sinking your teeth into something? Where don't you have boundaries because this man's letting his dog come into your yard? So many different ways of looking at it. It just allows you to expand your experience and vision of life. And I also want you to just bring into your body now that also means that everybody else is doing the same. Everybody else is walking around the world with their perception, their model of the world based on their conditioning that they didn't choose. And so even if you think, but we're seeing the same reality, you're never seeing the same reality as somebody else because you are not somebody else. And the last one is perhaps my favorite right now is every word, thought and deed. Every word, thought and deed needs to be toward what you want, towards the future, the reality that you are creating, to how you want to feel, how you want to think, what you want to have in your life, who you want to have in your life. Most people spend their life having every word, thought and deed on what they don't want. Visit the last episode. Every word, thought and deed about what's wrong. Every word, thought and deed about how shit the world is. Every word, thought and deed about how hard things are going to be. Every word, thought and deed about how far away their dream life is and they might as well just not bother because it's going to take them too long. Every word, thought and deed about what's wrong with everybody else. Every word, thought and deed about what they can't do, what they can't have. When you shift that to make every word, thought and deed towards what you want and who you want to be, you naturally step into cause and effect. How freaking great is that? Even just talking about this gets me anchored into these I've forgotten the word again. Things we talked about, right? And I know you can feel that energy. Every word, thought and deed puts you in the driver's seat of your life. Every word, thought and deed has you in every moment take personal responsibility. Every word, thought and deed demands from you that you elevate your thinking, that you crack open from your conditioned thinking into your creative, intuitive, wisdom-based, truth-based thinking, because the truth actually is we all have the same limitless potential and possibility no matter what. There are people out there in the world that have overcome the worst adversity, that have had the most horrific life experiences, and they didn't build a life by being defined by that. Because of that, they created something different. That's where I go back to. If I'm having a little bit of a temper tantrum about a little bit of a difficult emotion, I will take myself to think about somebody like Viktor Frankl. Or there's so many people out there that are awe-inspiring. And that's where I go. And I don't use it to beat myself up or bash myself over the head and go, oh, Louise, you're such a girl, right? I'll look at it and go, those people are amazing. And I can accept my experience. I'm not going to negate the emotions that I'm having right now, the thoughts I'm having right now, and I can choose different. Those 3 guiding principles, there's the word again, it just came back. The 3 guiding principles. Cause and effect. Perception is projection. Every word, thought and deed. They are the basis of my personal transformation coaching. I will bring my clients back to that over and over and over and over again. Because you cannot complain about the results you're creating if you're not following those principles and taking responsibility for what you've created and what you are creating, and be willing to step into the challenge. Phew, that was a biggie, wasn't it? Let me know what you think. Please do leave me a review on iTunes. That would be amazing. I don't know if you can leave reviews anywhere else. Honestly, I don't even know. But if you can, I'd love that. I'd love you to share this one because this is life-changing for people. Please share with your communities. Please share on social media. Drop me a tag. I would love that. And if you're not already on my email list, make sure you head to the show notes and join up, because there are some big things coming towards the end of this year where you can come work with me or do things that will actually change your life, and in a way that feels empowering and possible. So get on the list. Thank you for listening to the Seeking Simplicity podcast, and I will speak to you again next week.